welcome to our practical guide to Ambassador Ambience. If you're considering a cruise on this ship, you've come to the right place. We'll show you around and give you some practical hints and tips to help you enjoy your cruise. We'll show you all the decks and venues. Ambassador Ambience was first launched in 1991 as Regal Princess for Princess Cruises. Then it was Pacific Dawn for P&O in Australia. She was sold and renamed Satoshi before being bought by Ambassador and entering service in 2022 as Ambience with a capacity of 1,400 passengers. As you can imagine, she's had more facelifts than Katie Price, but what counts is what's on the inside. So let's go in and start in the Atrium on Deck 7. This was a very busy area on embarkation day, and we were a little worried that the ship was going to feel busy and overcrowded, but we needn't have worried. The Atrium is themed around Wimbledon, which explains the unusual choice of purple and green decor. And also the fact it is called the Centre Court is a bit of a giveaway as well. On this top level, keeping the Wimbledon theme, is the SW19 Bar, a small bar serving this top level of the atrium. There are comfortable seats and tables around the top of this atrium, and this is a great place to sit and people watch, if you like looking down on people. There are also some higher tables with bar stools, which we found good for playing board games. The Botanical Lounge is a very comfortable, homely venue with a wide variety of seating options. It can get very busy just before first and second sitting in the restaurant as people come down for a swift aperitif before dining. But if you don't leave it until the very last minute, you'll easily be able to get a seat and get served. Entertainment in here was usually a pianist and violinist, which provided a pleasant background sound and not too loud. The cocktails in here were very good and service was excellent. Right next door to the Botanical Lounge is Raffles Bar. This is a more dimly lit Art Deco style room and has more of a 1930s jazz club vibe to it. This was also the venue for the choir practices on sea days. The entertainment in here was a pianist or vocalist. If you ever get the chance to see Callum Bradley, we highly recommend him. He's from our neck of the woods after all. So after visiting a couple of bars, I'm feeling peckish and it's time to eat. There is only one main dining room on Ambience, and that is the Buckingham Restaurant. Ambience has fixed dining, and despite our reservations about fixed dining, it does have certain advantages. We liked getting the same waiters every night in the restaurant, and we knew that we would never have to queue or wait for a table to become available. We had our seats and no one could take them away from us. Sometimes freedom dining means that you are free to go to the restaurant and walk away with a buzzer and eat an hour later than you wanted to. There are a number of different table sizes, and table sharing is the default option. However, you can indicate prior to boarding whether you would want first or second sitting, and on your first day you can check the sitting and table that you've been allocated. The restaurant staff will try and accommodate any changes you may request, but remember, it might not always be possible. We love a wraparound prom deck, but unfortunately Ambience does not have one. The deck area is nice and wide though, and is a pleasant place to take a drink outside and enjoy the ocean. The photo gallery is on this deck in the atrium. We never purchased photographs on the ship, but we found the photographers to be very polite, not at all pushy or obtrusive, and the prices of the photo packages were very reasonable. The shops are distributed over 3 levels. On this level, you can find perfumes and beauty products, handbags, sweets, jewellery, clothing, and Ambassador's merchandise. We found the theatre to be one of the most comfortable and spacious theatres that we've been in at sea. It's a thrust stage theatre in that the audience sit on 3 sides of the stage, which protrudes forward. This increases the intimacy between the actors and the audience. All of the acts used this type of stage very well, but the side view was not quite as good. The seats are very comfortable and drinks are allowed in the theatre with tables being provided. Get there early for the best seats, but we found that we were always able to get a seat within the theatre. There are also spaces reserved for wheelchair assistance. The Purple Turtle is the bar that hosts quizzes, game shows, bingo and live music. The central area is a dance floor, but it was rarely used for that. It looks a bit like it was an indoor swimming pool that's been emptied. It wasn't. With most people sitting to the sides of this venue, it feels a little odd. The performers were playing to the 8 people that were sitting in the swimming pool. Despite this quirk, we had some great evenings in here. Brontës Library has a selection of books to borrow whilst on board. The Partnership Lounge is a function space celebrating the partnerships Ambassador has with several organisations, including Orca, who help to protect whales and dolphins. The Borough Market is the buffet on Ambience. We were a little worried it would be too busy and chaotic, however, we were always able to find a seat. Hand sanitising facilities are provided at the entrances. The food is served from food stations, and there is also a bar in there. We really loved that the food is served to you and is behind glass, away from grubby hands and snotty noses. The food stations include marinara, which is the Italian section, Grays and Grains for vegan and special dietary requirements, salt and vinegar for fish and chips, and Points East for Oriental and Asian cuisine. The buffet has a range of seat options from small tables to breakfast bars and stools, and is very nicely decorated. Unlike some ships, it doesn't feel like a works canteen. There were plenty of coffee machines available, and fruit juice is available from the machines in the morning. Apart from a scarcity of seats at peak times, we have no issues with the Borough Market. Saffron is the speciality Indian restaurant. We tried this once, it's part of the Borough Market, and we had a lovely meal there. If you want to watch our video, that's going to be available on our channel very soon. The coffee house is located just off the pool deck, and again it is a small, comfortable, homely place. It is generally quite quiet and would be the ideal place to get away from busier locations and perhaps read a book. The Alfresco Grill is on the pool deck and serves a selection of 2 pizzas each day. One is always margherita and the other option changes. It also serves burgers, hot dogs and fries. However, there are no vegetarian or vegan alternatives for burgers or hot dogs offered, which was a little disappointing. The pizza was good though for a poolside snack and very well flavoured. Sea and Grass is one of the speciality restaurants on board, and as you might imagine, it's a surf and turf style menu. We didn't dine here, but it appeared popular, and we didn't hear any complaints. The pool deck brings purple and green to the fore again, and has stripy sun loungers, which are very distinctive. There is one small swimming pool and a shallow paddling pool, which is described as a relaxation pool. However, this pool was not filled on our sailing, but the swimming pool was being used even on our cruise to the Arctic Circle. There was entertainment regularly on the pool deck, including ice carving demonstrations. The Observatory is the observation deck or crow's nest type of venue on the ship. The large windows all around this venue offer a 270-degree panoramic view. This is the late night entertainment venue and is very quiet during the day, but does host some activities such as the group ukulele lessons, dance classes, and also it is the solos meeting point. However, at night it is a nightclub with karaoke, silent discos, bands, and music until the early hours. For a ship with an older demographic, this place was swinging until late, way after we had gone to bed. The active studio hosts exercise classes, yoga, Pilates, and guided meditation. These are all included in your cruise fare, which is excellent and something that Ambassador should be commended for. Mats and blocks are available if you want to do your own thing. There's also a dartboard there. There were no darts, but we assume that they are available from reception. There's also a table tennis table in here. The bats and balls are available at the side of the room. As this ship doesn't have a wraparound prom deck, we made good use of the Joggers and Walkers track to get our steps in and our vitamin D on sea days. There are great views from this height, and it's also the deck where the big screen is situated. A lot of the time it was showing the news, which was very depressing on our sailing and brought down the holiday vibe. There are additional sunbeds up here, and more generally we would advise that the sunbeds at the rear of the ship from decks 8 to 14 were great locations with good views and were a little quieter than the main pool deck. Speaking of which, let's go down to deck 11. As well as some comfy pods at the aft, this is the deck where the 2 hot tubs can be found. We got a lot of use out of these, especially as our cabin was to the rear of the ship, and these are open until 8 p.m. Deck 10 is mainly cabins, but again there is a sun deck to the rear. We much prefer this on the older ship that have publicly accessible decks to the tiered rear, rather than a flat rear that looks like a block of flats. Call us old-fashioned. There is also a viewing area at the front of the ship, accessible only via the corridor on deck 10, weather permitting. There is a self-service launderette, which is charged at £3 per wash and £3 per dry. Down now to deck 9, which provides a sheltered balcony to the rear. This was a very useful space if it rained and you still wanted to be outside. We filmed our soggy sail away from here. As the deck is not particularly wide here, there are only chairs and not sun loungers. But when we go down to deck 8, there are sun loungers, as there is a little bit more space. So if you're not a sun worshipper but enjoy fresh air, this might be a good space for you. Right down now to the fitness centre on deck 2, which has plenty of good quality gym equipment, cardio machines, free weights and resistance machines. This is also the deck where the Green Sea Spa is located if you want any pampering on your cruise. Tiana and the team were delightful and you'll be in very good hands with them. The treatments were very reasonably priced compared to other cruise lines. Deck 5 is where the reception deck is located at the bottom of the atrium. Don't forget to bring your Ferrero Rocher for the Ambassador's reception. We never found the staff here to be anything less than helpful and friendly. Also off the atrium is the Destination Experiences desk for your trips and tours. Dickens Bar, which serves coffee and drinks, is also located here. This space was used to host some of the theatre at sea productions by the entertainment team, and also some solo spotlight performances by the onboard singers. Pandora is also tucked away down here. On deck 6 we have aces and eights. This is an area for jigsaws and board games, with baize tables which are much easier to play cards on. The whiteboard is used to arrange times and find players who know the rules of particular games. There is also a collection of Lego sailors, 2 with seagulls on their head and 1 with a telescope. These are the people who sail the ship at night while the passengers are asleep. There's a very small casino on board with a few slot machines and a couple of card tables. Kapoor's is a space for art and craft activities. There's a display cabinet here to have a look at the things that you can make on board. There's a small charge for each craft activity. This is not mentioned in the daily programme, but is worth knowing. There are more shops on this level for sunglasses, jewellery, watches, and all the usual things you will find on board a ship. So after spending 2 weeks on board Ambassador Ambience, what did we think of her as a ship? Well, like every ship, there are pros and there are cons. We loved the passenger space ratio. The ship didn't feel overcrowded. Of course, there were pinch points in some venues at popular times, but with careful planning you can work around that. We loved the tiered rear with sunbeds and sheltered balconies. We love the fact that at 34 years of age, this design classic is still on the sea and giving passengers a fabulous experience. As regular viewers know, we like to reuse, reduce and recycle, so it really fits with the travelling light ethos. We loved the Renzo piano designed upper deck space and observatory, and we hope that Ambassador can continue to give new lease of life to fabulous ships that may otherwise be consigned to the scrapyard. One of the first things they did was to bring Ambience up to a good environmental standard, which we really appreciate. Well, that brings us on to the cons. Well, we much prefer a wraparound prom deck. Some of the deck chair covers are getting grubby and could do with changing. The chair covers weren't put away overnight or during inclement weather and retained water, so it took a little while for them to dry out. In places, the carpets in the public areas, particularly on the stairs, are a little worn and stained. However, these are tiny niggles when we reflect on the excellent value and enjoyment we had on our cruise. We would much rather sail on Ambience than on a glitzy megaship with 6,000 other people. She provided a perfect space for us to enjoy our holiday. If you want to see any more of that, please like and subscribe, and thank you for letting me show you around Ambassador Ambience today. You take care. Goodbye.